Hey folks, today I want to walk you through the setup of the Ceridian standard connector provided by Aquera to synchronize Ceridian Dayforce with Okta. Um, there are some prerequisites before getting into this setup. The first of those prerequisites is that you are currently using the Okta Lifecycle Management product. And secondly, that you have the Advanced Mastering add-on or the Advanced Mastering feature for setting up HR as a master enabled within Okta. Um, Once we have all of that ready to go, then we are ready to begin the setup of our connection between Ceridian Dayforce and Okta. So I'm going to share my screen here and I'll start walking you all through that. So the first step to setting this up naturally is going to be logging in to the Aquera platform. So I'll do that here. And then once we've logged in, we get to a screen that looks like this. The first step here is going to be just filling out this basic information within Aquera so that we can go into Okta and from there establish the connectivity between your instance of Ceridian Dayforce and your instance of Okta. So for the purposes of today, I'll use a fake company. We'll use Acme. We'll use Acme Inc., right? And what we want to enter in here for this company name is your namespace for Ceridian. So whatever it is that you see when you log into Dayforce as part of that URL, that's what you'll want up here. Now, the other thing that we need to select is which instance of Ceridian we want to implement this for. Oftentimes, folks will have more than one instance of Ceridian. They'll have a test and a prod, maybe a config. For the purposes of today, I'll just leave this on the test instance, and I will click Save. Now, once I've saved this, the rest of the setup is going to take place within the Okta UI. So I'm going to navigate over to my Okta admin portal and I'll log in. And once I'm logged in here, I'm going to add in a new connector, just as I would for any other account provisioning application, right? So I'll come down here to Applications. I'll click the Apps tab. And then I'm going to click Browse App Catalog. And if I search for Ceridian Dayforce, what you'll see is we do get this Ceridian Dayforce user mastering connector provided by Aquera. But if I click into this, there's no way for me to add this. This is really just here for marketing purposes. So what we need to do actually to set up this connection is add in an Aquera application, because the mechanism by which this sync will work is Okta will communicate with Aquera, which will be pulling the appropriate information from Dayforce to make that connection work. So what I'm going to do here is search for Aquera. And you'll see we have these two options here for Aquera and Aquera Basic Auth. So I'm going to select the Basic Auth one. And I'm going to add this in. Now, there's a couple of things to note here. Firstly, up at the top, the label for this is listed as Aquera right now. We want to change that to say Ceridian. So I will update that. And the reason we're changing this is because, again, even though Okta is technically connecting with Aquera, the ultimate endpoint is going to be your instance of Ceridian Dayforce. So we'll call this Ceridian Acme. And then we want to toggle both of these boxes not to display this icon to any Okta users. If you have SSO set up with Okta through another connector, this won't interfere with that, but we really just want this running in the background, automating the provisioning. So there's no need for anyone to have visibility into this process. This should just take place kind of without their knowledge automatically. So once we've got all of that done, we'll click Next. In terms of sign-on, again, no one's really signing into this application. We do offer SSO if you want to have the administrators of Aquera able to um, log in to the Aquera admin portal through Okta. That's totally possible, but it wouldn't be set up here. So for the purposes of this app, we'll just click Done here, leave it as it is. And then we get to our actual connector page. Now, what we want to do here is come over to the provisioning tab and establish the connectivity between Okta and the endpoint that we set up here in Aquera. So what I'll do is I'll click Configure API Integration, and then I'll click Enable. And there's a couple of pieces of information that are asked for here. So firstly, the base URL. That base URL is going to be copied directly from this endpoint that we've set up here. So I'll copy that, paste it in. And then the username and password. Now, these username and password, we have detailed guides on what permissions folks need to enter in their admin details here for this to work. But essentially, it's folks who have user management privileges within your instance of Dayforce. So for the purpose of today, I'll just enter in, some information, right? And then from there, we would click test, and assuming the test came back correctly, we would click save. Now, I do not have credentials for Acme Co, but I do already have a instance set up here, so I'll switch over. And what we see is I'm on the exact same page. All I've done is entered in a username and password previously and tested this so that I know this connection works. Once we've entered in this information and saved this, what you'll see is the functionality of this connector is the exact same as any other HR as a master connector provided out of the box by Okta. So you're not going to see any feature gaps compared to what you would get with say a Workday or a Namely. Now, just to go through some of those features, right? We have the ability to schedule this import, on a number of different schedules, all the way up to every hour. We have the ability to set up our Okta username, however it is that we need to, right? Choose what attributes it is that we're matching based upon, and also, if we come over into the profile editor, what you'll see is we have the ability to set this up not just as a one-way sync, taking data from Ceridian and moving it over into Okta, but also taking data from Okta and moving it back into Ceridian with a variety of options there. Now, hopefully, for folks that are familiar with Okta, from here, this process will be very similar to setting up any other provisioning connectors, but there are some nuances to setting up HR as a master. So if you haven't done it before, I may recommend engaging with your Okta professional services team to assist in the mappings, to assist in any additional workflows that you want to set up from here. But from their point of view, once the connectivity has been established, through this mechanism here, this should behave like any other HR as a master connector that they're used to working with. So there shouldn't be any issue on that front. The last thing I'd like to note here, sometimes folks do want to change just this logo so that instead of being an Aquera logo, it's a Ceridian logo. It's as simple as clicking this here, browsing through your photos and inserting a Ceridian logo instead of the Aquera one here. So you can update that as well. And then you'll have the appropriate name, the appropriate photo, and all the same functionality that you'd be used to with any other Okta HR as a master connector. Now, if you all are interested in this, if you do have questions about this, be sure to reach out to your Ceridian team. They are the best resource for all things related to the HR as a master sync from Ceridian, and they'll be sure to put us in touch if you all have any questions. Thank you so much.